Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Ramadan Journey. I am your host Afif Khan, and we are joined as usual by Sheikh Muhammad Al-Asi. He is the author of the Ascendant Quran. Currently we have 7 volumes in print, and we expect the 8th through the 10th volume to be out inshallah by the end of the year. He himself has already gone through about the middle of the Quran, and we on the publishing side are trying to catch up in this regard. We have so far been talking about Ramadan, and we've been discussing the various ayat related to this month of fasting, with a view to trying to better understand them, to give ourselves a chance perhaps to build up our taqwa during this month. Today we're going to try to deal with the very last ayah in this section about Ramadan, and that ayah is وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. And so we're going to get Sheikh Al-Asi's impressions on this particular ayah. Sheikh Al-Asi, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
One of the things that's been said about this ayah in the Ascendant Quran is that fasting in Ramadan is supposed to mitigate class polarization. And so feeling what the less fortunate have to go through at all times in their lives, feeling that for the better portion of a month is supposed to lead to transformational changes in society. And so as far as this particular ayah is concerned, could you comment on how those transformational changes ought to take place?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Rahmatullahi lil alameen. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi al-muttaqeen. I want to, before I get to the ayah, I just want to make this comment or observation. And that is, there are some scholars who do not consider this final ayah to belong to the rest of the ayat that preceded it. I think that is a shortcoming. Scholars are human beings, just like everyone else, and some of these scholars have their shortcomings, and it expresses itself in such a separation between this ayah and the preceding ayat pertaining to the fast. But this ayah says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ. That's the way it begins. And do not consume your wealth among yourselves in illegal channels or with illegal means. بالباطل. ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل.
And as you go through your explanation, if you can come back to this while you're doing your explanation, let us know what these illegal means are.
Yeah, sure. For those who are familiar with the Arabic language, the language of the Quran, the word ta'kulu literally means don't eat. So if you wanted a literal translation of the ayah, it means, and don't eat your money among yourselves in illegitimate ways. Now, no one eats money. You know that. No one comes and says, oh, you can serve me 1,000 rands and I'll chew on them and I'll be satisfied and my hunger goes away. It just doesn't occur. No one eats money. But the ayah is saying, don't eat your money. the meaning here is that don't have an appetite for money, and thus don't consume it through illegal channels. What are these illegal channels? How does money circulate illegally? Well, before we get to that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ. Don't, the flowing meaning here is don't consume your wealth, أَمْوَالَكُمْ. Now there are other ayat in the Quran that say that wealth belongs to Allah. Another ayah in the Quran says, وَآتُوهُم مِّن مَالِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ. And give them, those who are in need, those who deserve it, those who qualify, give them of Allah's mal, of Allah's money, of Allah's wealth, of Allah's assets. Min malillah, mal belongs to Allah. Alladhi atakum, out of which He has given you. This wealth or the riches that come your way in life, this belongs to Allah. But He has passed it on to you. So people who have these resources, they should know it doesn't belong to them. They are temporarily in charge of it. This wealth is transitory. It transits through their hands and through their lifetime. And before they were here, it wasn't theirs. And after they leave, after they pass away, it's not theirs. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is saying, even though the accurate translation is here, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ, don't consume your wealth, your resources among yourselves. So I think maybe in the coming segment we can further explain the extended meanings of these words in the Quran.
And so we're going to continue our discussion on the impact of wealth and power and vice versa in the next segment. Right now we have to take a short break for a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Welcome Ramadan. Welcome Ramadan.
And welcome back. Let us continue the discussion on this particular ayah. Shaykh Al-Asi, if you could go on at the point that you left off, please.
Yes. Once again, the ayah is, we follow the words and the meanings just as they are. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ. And don't consume or don't have a circulation of money consumed among yourself in illegitimate ways. And now the question is here, what is illegitimate? What do you mean by that? Batil. What is this? Before we give a little explanation of that, we should know that, remember, this ayah comes in the aftermath of the fasting of the month of Ramadan. All the ayat preceded that. So Muslims should have a keen sense of where money is, not where food is, where money is. And unfortunately, this area hasn't been developed in the Muslim public presentations, in lectures and conversations, in seminars and in symposia. Not many people speak about the circulation of money. Who is generating the money? Who's making the money? How much money is being made? Where is it allocated? For what purposes? The profit out of a certain capital of money, the monopoly of the resources, the natural resources of the world, the distribution, if any, of this money, the social programs that come with capital and all of this. There's not much talk about this. I mean, ask yourself, you, the Muslim who is listening and watching, when was the last time you went to the masjid or you listened to a khutbah and there was a sensitive or a sensible presentation of where money begins and where money ends? And who is making these decisions, and are these serving the purposes for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divulged this guidance to us? Not much of that. But here, there's a concentration. The ayah is concentrating our minds and our thoughts on what do you mean? Illegitimate means, illegitimate channels, illegitimate accruement of money? Where's that? Okay. Where's that? Open up. Open your eyes. Look at the real world.
It seems like when many of the mufassirin give their explanation of this ayah, they strictly limit it to legal cases. That it almost has nothing to do with the larger society. That judges are deciding on a case, don't bribe them. That's the typical explanation that you see of this ayah. What you're saying is completely foreign. You don't ever hear about it this way.
Yeah, that's one of the pitfalls that many Muslims fall into, because the Qur'an's meanings, the meanings of the Qur'an are expansive. When Allah speaks about amwalakum, that's a general or universal statement, and speaks about amwalakum in the plural, your wealths, your resources, your assets, your treasuries, all of this comes under the rubric of amwalakum. It's not only just the legal channels. We're not talking about here, someone taking someone else to court because the commodity that was sold to that person didn't meet certain standards. I mean, that's inclusive in that, but it's not the whole picture.
It's not limited to that.
It's absolutely not. And here is where the Muslim mind has to liberate itself from some legalisms. And this is reminiscent of the fact that there's a lot of talk about Sharia. We want to apply Sharia, and Sharia should be this. And okay, fine. No one's going to argue that. But Sharia itself is in a larger frame of reference. Sharia is not the do-all and with-all and end-all. No, it's not. There's a larger frame for all of this. And the usage of the word amwalakum here fits into that larger frame. So when Allah is saying amwalakum, okay, who is in possession of these riches, of these resources, of this wealth, of the capital? Who possesses this? And when you take a closer look, and I hope that our Muslim scholars and speakers who discourse on Islam, I hope they can reach the point where they begin to open up this subject so that the average person can begin to understand much more the meaning of this ayah. Because, the ayat in the Quran are meant to offer a guideline. And then every generation and every milieu, it has the particulars that fall into that guideline. So when we're speaking about amwalakum in today's world, you look at, we're not talking about petty cash here, the drugstore or the 5 and 10 cent store around the street. We're speaking about big money.
Right. You don't present petty cash to decision makers.
Yeah.
They already
it
makes no sense.
Yeah, it's not within their radar system.
Yeah.
They're looking at big stuff.
Yeah, they're looking at, millions and billions of dollars. That's what moves them.
That's right. And here is where the illegal channels of finances are generated. This is where it begins. It's not, a poor person out there, a shepherd, a farmer, a laborer, a person who's trying to make ends meet. They're not involved.
But they have no shot at even meeting a decision maker.
Yeah, they don't plot any of this.
Right.
So there are people who are plotting this, and it results in poverty, deprivation, therefore hunger and starvation. It results in all of that. So take a look at this. You've been in the school of Ramadan. You've just fasted. Your objective is to end deprivation, poverty, and these ailments in humanity. So look at the source of the issue, the source of the problem. Open your eyes.
And we're going to continue this discussion on what we should understand about wealth and money in Ramadan. We're going to take a break now for our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Welcome Ramadan. Welcome Ramadan.
And welcome back. We're using the forum of Ramadan to talk about money, power, corruption, and the impact that these things have on society. Would you care at this point to comment on the rest of the ayah? Quote the ayah for us first, please, and then comment on the rest of it.
Yes, once again, the ayah reads like this: وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتُدِلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. So we've covered the first sentence in the ayah. The ayah is composed of several or a few sentences. The second sentence to follow says, وَتُدِلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ, which means, and you approach with these illegal channels of money making the rulers, the decision makers, not only the judges. That legalistic system confines the word hukam only to judges. It means, among others, judges, of course, but it's not limited to them. Hukam are those who arbitrate national issues or global issues. They make decisions. They legislate. All of this is part of the meaning of hukam. So the ayah with its second sentence is saying, in the first sentence it's talking about illegal money-making channels, accumulation of wealth, the deprivation of those who are in need to their share of this wealth that originally doesn't belong to capitalists or elites or a limited class of people, the 1%. This all belongs to Allah. And these people who are in temporary possession of this should realize, as an after effect of our fasting, if we were to project the real meanings of our fast, this would be in the purview of our observance of Ramadan. So it says, so don't take this, connect these channels of illegal accumulation of wealth with those who are the ruling class. So here, right now, we're looking at two classes of people: the financial class and then the ruling class. And the ayah is, Allah Jalla wa'ala is cautioning us lest we have a convergence of those who have accumulated wealth with those who have accumulated power. This is a catastrophe. This is a recipe for the collapse of societies, of social orders, communities. It'll bring about the demise of these structures. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ, sentence number 1. وَتُدِلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ, you take this wealth and it becomes right now infused with the domain of those who are in government. وَتُدِلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ, and then the following sentence, لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِّنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ, to consume, and once again we encounter the word تَأْكُلُوا, as if an average person didn't catch the relationship of the greed, the appetite for accumulation of wealth that is a function of greed. Just like in the world of eating, gluttony is a problem, in the world of wealth, greed is a problem. And as if Allah subhanahu is telling us here that there's a relationship here. If you can limit your desire for indulging in the delicacies, in the foodstuff of life, then you can also decrease, limit, discipline your tendency towards the accumulation of wealth, which leads to connecting that wealth with power. A fact of life that is unmistakable, if you just look around and see how the world operates, whatever system you're looking at, whether it's on the political left or the political right, whatever system you're looking at, you find that there's an affinity in these societies and in these systems to bring together those who have wealth with those who have power. And so they begin to dictate to each other what they call the national interest. It's not a national interest, it's not in the interest of the average person. It's in the it's their class interest, which they disguise by saying that this is our national interest and it has to be done this way. So Ramadan, this very radical step of controlling and disciplining these internal urges gets at the root problem that manifests itself in the disparities and the polarizations in society, where you have the majority of people who are in need and the minority of people who are in a superfluous life of excesses and greed.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time for this particular program. In the next program, we're going to continue to talk about the relationship between the accumulation of wealth and the accumulation of power. We're very happy that you joined in with us today. We hope to see you back again tomorrow on the same channel at the same time. We look forward to being with you and to share your expectations with regard to the next program. And again, we hope to see you tomorrow. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.